Welcome, my name is Jason Main. I am one of the watch traders here, senior watch trader at Watchbox, and wanted to get back to some questions you guys have left on our YouTube and Instagram feeds, specifically the trading desk. So let's jump right back into it. All right, so Peter Kim from YouTube says, it seems currently Vacheron lines aren't sufficiently diverse. Like pretty much every car maker, possibly they're making some mistakes, actively resisting doing anything differently. So I do believe that you're right in the fact that they probably have too many SKUs. I would argue that narrowing that down to 5 or 6 main lines would do the brand a big favor in terms of holding market share and selling watches. But you do need, we saw with the Vacheron Overseas Gen 3, you do need that fire, that new spark to kind of sell watches. So if I could take over, scale down the line to 5 or 6 actual essential watches, and then make one new model that is, the next generation. So long as I've done the research and development and I've done some studies to make sure that it's going to be well received, then I think that that's the way forward. All right, second question here from YouTube, username blobbity blah blah. Fantastic username, by the way. Is anyone else disappointed that Zenith is turning into Hublot? I would disagree with you, sir. I wouldn't say Zenith is turning into Hublot. I think there is unlimited potential for uptick in terms of Zenith. They have nowhere to go but up. Hublot is quite essentially the one-trick pony, and that is something that Zenith is not. I would argue that Zenith probably would, again, similar to other brands, fare well to pare down. They make too many offerings. Hublot, unfortunately, makes really one offering, so they would go the other way. But I like Zenith quite a bit as a brand. I feel like if they stepped into a little bit more of their lane and catered to under $10,000, when you get models like the Defy, the new El Primero, fantastic watch for the money, and Zenith's a pretty good brand for the money. Question number 3, Rodrigo Benjero from YouTube says, Datejust or Submariner as a daily? I guess it depends what you're doing on a daily basis. I think the Submariner's probably got to be the best Rolex for day-to-day and for a one-watch collection of all time. I own a non-date Submariner 114060 that has turned into pretty much my daily wear. And whether it's a suit or shorts on a day off, that seems to be the watch that I go to. It's water resistant. It sits on the wrist really, really well. It's probably the best bracelet that's ever been made on a watch, and it is extremely versatile. Datejust, if you're a guy that's in a suit all day long and that's all you wear, maybe the Datejust makes a little bit more sense. But for me, Submariner probably fits a bigger portion of everybody's scope of what a daily watch is. Reno 2324 from YouTube. What would you recommend for a one watch guy? So to use this watch every day, suits and the beach. Again, Submariner would probably be my go-to recommendation for most people in terms of a watch that's going to fit everything. So, not the most creative answer. Submariner is kind of the answer to most watch-related questions, but it truly is the one watch that you could probably spend $7 grand on, wear for the rest of your life, and never look back. Gianluca Perezan, from YouTube. Why would Patek discontinue the 5711? That is totally ridiculous. It's been around since 1976. Everyone loves the 5711. Why would they discontinue it? So essentially the same question twice. Why on earth would they piss off everyone except watch dealers? Well, if you look into the watch world, you'll notice that many brands, not just Patek, but some of the biggest brands in the world, Rolex included, often discontinue watches at their peak. This is to keep them elusive, to keep them in demand. This is to signify that something is collectible. There are many limited editions that are done. But to answer your question, the 5711, the Nautilus specifically in a time-only variant, will probably always be around. If they discontinue the 5711 as we know it now, it's only going to be because another version of the Nautilus in a current generation, similar to how AP discontinued the 15400 in like for the 15500, which is just essentially a revamped version. So it's possibly that Patek will release a newer version. We just saw a movement refresh on the 5711 with some hacking seconds. So next generation might be a little bit more evolved than that. What is the role of brands themselves in the bubble? What would the consequences of a burst be, and what would they do anything to actively prevent it? I don't know, to be honest with you. I think that ship has sailed. If the brand knew that a bubble was coming, then a bubble probably wouldn't exist. If anybody knew the bubble was coming, then it wouldn't exist. The only thing that a brand could do now is possibly make more watches. I don't know that that would decrease the bubble. If anything, it might just overall hurt the market in total collapse of the bubble. Brands don't really play a big role in the bubble. It's us as a society and what we decide is worth the chase. So the secondary market is simply, supply and demand. It's like we say all the time. The bubble is created by the guy who makes more money than you or me and says, my time is worth more, I'm gonna pay a little bit more for this watch, get it now. And then the guy above him, there's always a bigger fish, right? So the guy above him says, my time's worth the other guy's time. And it just keeps going until somebody taps out and says, that watch is absolutely not worth that, doesn't matter how much money I have. And that's when the bubble pops. So right now, something like a 5711 or even a Submariner for that case, we're seeing them sell over retail constantly, pretty easily. So that says the bubble's not gonna pop. When we start to see dealers back off from buying watches in over retail, we start to see things not really selling and sitting on the shelves. We start to see a destabilization of the economy or possible markets, then we're talking about something changing. But for right now, everything's holding pretty true. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for this episode of answering your questions from our various social media outlets. I do appreciate you logging into the trading desk on Thursdays at 6 p.m. and watching me, following me on Instagram. All my information is below. If you like these segments where we take a moment out of our day and kind of answer some of your questions, please let us know. Positive feedback, and we really, really appreciate the support.